Hey everyone! Last week I published a video, linked in the description below, detailing the minimum number of echo summons required to complete Echoes of Wisdom. I arrived at a minimum of 36. However, I was told by user DD that a talented group from the speedrunning Discord had solved for a minimum of 33. As a next step, let's take a look at how many additional summons are required to go from just completing the game to 100%ing it. We'll be collecting all heart pieces, mic crystals, stamps, bottles, outfits, accessories, echoes, and completing all side quests. Get your reverse bond ready, and let's go figure this one out. Note that I'll mostly just be detailing the more noteworthy collectibles. To start, I turned my attention to completing all the optional rifts, with the first up being Stilled Lower Southern Forest. This one was pretty straightforward. All I had to do was reverse bond a Keese and move some crates around. Stilled Lake Hylia also gave me plenty to work with. After moving a couple boulders over, I was able to bridge the gap to the last friend of Tries. Stilled Western Elden Volcano is where things would get a bit trickier. After using Gyro to push me across the initial gap, I was faced with a steeper gap to clear. Gyro would try to return back to the start, and it took some time to figure out how to best manipulate him. For some reason, with this bind angle, Gyro would back up and rise slightly, over and over again, until we finally reached this ledge. From here, you can work your way over to the main platform and take out the Fire Wizrobe. You need Gyro to bridge one more small gap, and then you're able to grab a friend of Tries. Now this frustrated me. On the way back, Gyro sunk me into the lava, and for some reason, the game respawned me at the start of the rift. Ugh. So I had to clear the first couple gaps again, and then I was into the cave. I tried a bunch of things to get this friend of Tries, but could not manage to pluck it out of the air. Although I'm still worried that I overlooked something, I eventually used my first summon here. Next, I went to Stilled Hebra Mountain Passage. This one gave me plenty of ice blocks to use, so it wasn't a challenge. In between rifts, I noticed that my bombs were not able to reach cracks on the water floor, and the only bombfish that I knew of spawned as part of the Big Shot side quest. Make sure to blow away the 2 sections of cracked floor before completing this side quest. In Stilled Heart Lake, I'd take some assistance from a baby Goma, but then right after, have to use summon number 2 on a bombfish. In this cave in the Faron wetlands, I'd enter from the backside to avoid getting stuck on an Armos. To reach this cave's heart piece, I tediously collected all the boulders and Armos statues in the room, then carefully assembled a staircase. If done right, you'll even have an Armos statue to spare. After clearing Stilled Northern Sanctuary, I would grab a heart piece by assembling a treasure chest and some rocks. From there, I'd continue on to Stilled Eastern Zora River, where I'd encounter an unmanageable gap. I didn't see any way possible for the Dark Tangler to propel me there. Eventually, I caved in and took out my flying tile for summon number 3. This side-scrolling section isn't a joke either. Go left before right, so you can use the Dark Berry to push you back to the starting platform. This cave doesn't require a whole mill, just some careful movement of the boulders. In Stilled Northern Gerudo Desert, it was pretty obvious I would need an echo to make progress. I noticed I had to clear a sand pile later on, so I chose Gyro to try to limit myself to a single summon, and we got to work circumnavigating the rift. The Stilled Carrot Patch gave me plenty of objects to build with, so it wasn't a problem. And neither was Stilled Southern Hyrule Field, which provided no obstacles. And just like that, all the rifts were clear with a summon count of 4. From here, I'd turn my attention to Eastern Temple, which provided nothing that made me consider summoning an echo. I moved on to the wrecked ship, and although it did require a minor construction project to get on board, its insides gave me no resistance. Summit Cave was providing plenty of lava rocks and boulders for me to progress until this side-scrolling section, which pretty clearly needs an echo. With some quick movement and careful positioning, Strantula will get the job done. It actually took me a few tries to clear the boss here without running out of sword fighter energy, as all I had for energy refills was one unfortunate smoothie. One of my biggest hopes for this challenge was that I'd find a clever way to complete Glide Path without summoning any echoes. But after experimenting for a bit, it seemed clear to me that nothing else was going to work here. Next, I summoned a flying tile for an aptly named side quest, then summoned Tornado. We can use Tornado to clear sand for a Might Crystal, then carry him across the desert to access a heart piece. We need to bring a monster with us as well to get Tornado to perform his wind attack. Finally, we carry him to Gerudo Town to complete the Tornado Ghost side quest. In this desert cave, I use summon number 10 on a wind cannon to access some Might Crystals. A neat trick shared with me by user DD is you can take a 0 from Elden Volcano and keep it bound high above your head. You can now reverse bond with it anywhere, and it will try to reascend to the altitude where you found it. Next, I would carry a torch slug from Elden Volcano to light these torches in the graveyard. Inside the grave, I tried for a while to get one of the Genies to activate this switch, but I couldn't make it happen, so I reluctantly summoned my own Genie to do it instead. This was all necessary to get the Genie level 2 Echo in the next room. For the Curious Child side quest, I would carry an Ignizel and then a Hydrazol all the way to Hyrule Castle Town from Faron Wetlands. On Lower Hebra Mountain, there was not one spot, but 2, where I would make a good old-fashioned torch staircase to reach a Might Crystal surrounded by ice, then melt it with my body. The second time, I would bring up an additional torch with me to reach a stamp. Outside the cave containing the ice spikes is another Might Crystal surrounded by ice. I tried to build a torch staircase up here from below, but even with all 10 torches, it is still well short. So we will summon a Fire Keys to bridge the gap and melt the ice. Next, if our positioning is just right, we can get a Bombchu stuck at the base of the wall, then take it for a ride up the mountain. Wait here for a while, and what do you know? Our Fire Keys has flown all the way up to join us. We'll use it to grab another Might Crystal, a 2-for-1 deal if you will. Now, we need to get back to the Ice Spikes cave, but don't want to use an Echo again. It's a bit tricky, but we can also bridge this gap using another Bombchu. By the way, did you realize this game has fire arrows? Summoned 13 would come from the What is Snow Really side quest, as I don't know of any way to transport a snowball from Hebra Mountain. Next, for the Finding the Flying Plant side quest, I'd carry over a Peahat from Hyrule Field. I grabbed an Ignizel from elsewhere in Faron Wetlands and positioned it well above my head to light the 2 torches for access to the hidden ruins. At first, I couldn't figure out how to get this last spark into the box, but then I realized I could activate the Armos with my bow. It took some reverse bonding on the sparks, but I would reach a rematch with the Electricity Cloud boss. This battle is a bit trickier than the previous one to do without summons, as all you're given to alter the movement of the smaller clouds is 4 pots. And of course, the pots break easily. But with some care, you should be able to get through this. This Tektite was trying to return to its starting zone, so I hitched a ride to pass over this heart piece. In this cave, I had no choice but to summon an Echo to put out these torches, so I could claim a heart piece on the other side of the door. The Zora Child's Fate side quest showed complete disregard for our summon count, forcing me to summon 3 Echoes. Next, I decided it was time to tackle the Slumber Dojo. The game doesn't seem to count any summons in here as real summons, as your last used list does not stay updated after your dream. But for the purposes of this challenge, it makes a lot more sense to count these summons, so that's what I will be doing. Even without summons, most of these trials are easy, especially when your sword fighter form is sufficiently powered up. For most battles, you can blaze through pretty quickly with your sword, bow, and bombs. For blank slate battles, I was able to throw rocks and drop enemies into pits. The only trial that gave me a little trouble was the final blank slate battle. The strategy I settled on here went like this. Take Gyro to the Torch Slug and burn him, then move the Torch Slug up to burn the giant Goponga flower, while also taking out the Deku Baba. Next, bring the Torch Slug down and burn the Buzz Blob, the Goose Spectre, and the Keys. Finally, throw rocks at the Fire Octo and the Torch Slug until they are dead. After a couple more trials, I would come to the Titans Gather again. I was sure to stock up on smoothies for energy refills beforehand, and I had no problem clearing this trial in the allotted time, even though the Goma battle is slow without using electricity echoes. But there was Scorchill, requiring me to use 3 summons to clear him. And then of course, Scorchill came up again during the final Titans Gathering for 3 more summons. Scorchill was responsible for 6 summons and 9 across the whole game, but I was finally done with both him and the Slumber Dojo. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It'll really help the channel out. Next, I turned my attention to automatons and had to use a whole 8 summons to get them created. Afterwards, I was able to summon Gizmo to complete the Out There Zol side quest. You're probably saying, an automaton isn't an echo. Why are you counting it? Simply put, automatons serve many of the same purposes as echoes, and parts of this entire challenge would have to be reworked, usually to become easier and less interesting, if automatons did not count as summons. Much of what was left at this point was just tracking down many of the most trivial missing collectibles. I'll speed it up a tad for you. We're almost there, but we still need to do some digs with Whole Mill. First, we carry the grilled fish across the map for a cat in Kakariko Village. Next, we summon Whole Mill and carry him around the map, doing all of our digging in one pass. I don't believe there is a Whole Mill anywhere outside of caves, meaning you must summon your own. But if I missed a usable Whole Mill somewhere, please let me know so I can kick myself. This is all going smoothly, but we do get into trouble for the final 2 digs. No matter which order you do them in, you need to summon a second Whole Mill. With only one, either the secret stash will disappear, or the hole leading to the heart piece will seal itself. So we'll have to live with 2 Whole Mill summons. Now we can complete questioning the local cats, as well as a treat for my person. And here are the Mite Crystals I saved for last, hoping I could find a way to use the boulder to activate the switch, but it doesn't quite reach. So reluctantly, I summoned an Armos. And with that, we have 100%ed the game. 35 summons are required to complete all the optional content. Note that I didn't obtain every treasure chest of smoothie ingredients and rupees, as those are not easily trackable, and so I don't include them in my definition of 100%. In addition to the 33 summons required for the base game, that brings us to a total of 68 summons to 100% the game. Do you see how I could have saved any summons? If so, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.